What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network for week 2 of the 2021 season. And we have got a fantastic episode planned for you guys this evening as we record Wednesday night, that is. But with me today, of course, I've got Jordan on the show. I've got Mafali on the show. But then we got two primetime guests tonight. We have got Cody and Jameson back in the house. What's going on, everyone? Let's start with Jordan. I guess we'll work our way down.
Good evening.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, everybody. It feels weird to be called a guest, Pat. I don't know if I like that.
I was thinking the same
Well,
thing.
you guys should get on here weekly with us, and then you guys can just be co-hosts with us again.
Then you no longer be guest.
I can't promise weekly, but I'll make it. I'll make an effort.
Yeah, at least once a month, once every 4 weeks. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I can do that.
But no, it's awesome.
Once a month with a membership. Like.
Yeah, I gotta pay $10 a month for this. They're not telling you that.
Yeah, that's right. It's coming out of the league pot. We're actually all paying ourselves every week. There'll be nothing left by the time someone wins. No, I'm glad we got all of you guys back on the show. Like literally, I mean, we got 5 people on right now. That's pretty wild to think about. I don't think we've ever had this many people on the show once before. So, between us and the other podcast, I mean, we literally have like half the league involved in a podcast this week. So, that's pretty awesome. But just a quick rundown of what we're going to go through tonight. We've got news and announcements, of course. We're going to do a week 1 review, but it's going to be super brief, like literally just talking about the scores, not really any commentary to go with that. And then we're going to go to game of the week and then our week 2 previews overall. So I'll go ahead and kick us off with our news and announcements. If you guys have any side commentary to say about any of this, just feel free to hop in, all right?
Can we call this episode 5 Guys?
5 Guys? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do it. 5 boys, 1 cup. Here we go. News and notes from around the league. We got Michael is gone and Will is in. For those that didn't know, Michael's Team Michael, whichever you wanted to call it. Hadn't really been active for a while. This had been in the making for a while, if you like. But Will Watson replaced him. He was in the league back in 2016. That was the only year he's been in the league. In that 1 year, he did make the playoffs, but it was one and done to the notorious Ethan Roberts, arguably one of the worst fantasy players in league history. So how Ethan even made the playoffs is beyond me. But anyways, that's the backstory there. We also have the LCC Dark podcast. If you guys haven't tuned into our I don't know if you want to call it our I don't know. I wanted to say like sibling podcast, but we are very different, I feel like, in the content we cover. But definitely check them out if you haven't already. And I'm just going to go through a couple others. I mean, we could do trades, but honestly, I don't have the trades pulled up right now. Do you guys remember any of the trades that happened this week so far? I know, Mafali, you pulled one off.
Yeah, I think that's been about it, though. I don't think there's been anything else. And that was just really a swap for Charles to get rid of one of the rookies he drafted. They got put on the IR, and he already had somebody on his IR. So it was kind of just
Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't even big. Yeah,
He's supposed to come off week 4.
What
did you say?
Isn't he supposed to come off IR week 4?
Yeah, but I don't know. If you look at Charles's team, he's not really set up to have to really care that much about Bateman to hold on to him,
Yeah, but I feel like if you're not worried about who you're starting at receiver, besides that, if you got a guy, then why not just hold on to him? But
he wants to use that roster spot in other positions, I'm pretty sure. That's because that was his 3rd receiver.
Oh.
So that was like he can use it on another position. But let's just move on. Yeah, it's not even a big trade. So
nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Then we had a couple injuries. We had DeMarcus Lawrence, I know, go down. He's having foot surgery, so that really sucks because he's kind of a perennial top 12 defensive end in pretty much every IDP format. So it's a big loss for a lot of fantasy players and for Dallas, of course, and it sucks for Lawrence. I didn't see the timeline that he's going to be out, but that's probably one of the bigger injury updates that I've been tracking at least this week. We'll just keep it rolling there, because unless you guys can think of another big one at least that's significant.
Bringing Rexy back had to replace
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he did. He spent his waiver today. I saw that.
God, a waiver pick? That's crazy.
Yeah, for Jared Goff.
Oof. Dang. Well, hey, best of luck to everyone involved in that. Well, and so other news that we have, myself, I'm 1 win away from reaching 90 wins overall in my career. So I just wanted to say that out loud. Everyone feel really good about me. Our next one is Daquan is 2 losses away from tying Storm for the most losses in league history, which is 75. So he's almost done it. Almost there. And then Matt is 1 loss away from tying Storm for most conference losses in league history, which is 63. So Matt's very close. I don't know.
Almost the biggest losers.
Can I say this though? Like, Storm is impressive because he's missed like a few years in those. Like,
I know.
he has been there for all of them. Like,
Storm
He took some seasons off and still gapped them.
yeah. He's
taking
good in every like league season. Like,
oh, God.
Storm said 10 years for 75 losses. No, I can do it in 7.
I can do it.
Hold my beer.
hold my beer.
Hold my beer. Oh, man. And then this is some good news. Cody's currently tied for the 10th longest multi-season losing streak in league history. He's lost 7 straight, and the record's 11, though, so he's still a good ways off. And I fully expect Cody to end that streak soon. Last one, Week 7, 2020. How does that make you feel, Cody?
I mean, I'm not that worried about it. Honestly, I mean, I sold my team last year, so
Yeah.
I wasn't really trying to win.
And then if you lose this week, that would tie you for the 9th longest multi-season losing streak, maybe. I'm not looking at it right now. I did this research earlier. And then our next to last news, we got Chandler Jones scored 3rd most points in a single game in LCC history. It was first, and then like right after the game, it looked like they did some kind of stat change to him. So I'm interested to see, Thursday morning when the official stat changes roll out from my fantasy league, like what happens. Does he go back to first, or does he stay around 3rd? I mean, either way, it was impressive, but unfortunately, he was not on Mafala's starting lineup. That had to hurt.
No. Yeah, and I mean, like, for everybody listening, it's not like it was like an outlandish pick. Like, I have another great D end in DeForest Buckner, and I was just looking at the matchup purely. I was like, Taylor Lewan was supposed to be elite, but he even called himself out. And Jones was just coming off an injury, so I was like, I'm going to give him a game to get like up to game speed and see how it goes. And man, was he ready? Like, and you know what? When I look back at it, the guy probably had a huge chip on his shoulder, and that's what really motivates a lot of guys to just do it. And he already had the talent. I mean, the guy's just one of the most talented pass rushers, in the game. But he just had a chip on his shoulder this year, and he went out and proved something week 1. It was crazy. So he will not be on my bench this week, no matter what. No matter how much I like DeForest Buckner as well, I will be starting Chandler Jones.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Chandler Jones looks
So
like
you're saying the one thing this week is Chandler Jones will be in the lineup.
Yeah, that's a for sure, man.
You heard it here first.
Death, taxes, and Chandler Jones.
Yeah. There you.
All right, you guys ready for our last news/announcement of the week? It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's pretty big. So I texted Jordan. Actually, I think this was this morning or yesterday. I can't remember now. I feel like the older I get, the more time just blurs together. But when the whole Hall of Fame stuff, I was just going back through our Hall of Fame records of players and stuff, and noticed that for some reason when I have like a running list of all the Hall of Fame players. So I forgot to write down Michael Vick, even though we voted him in last year. And so I added him. Then I had to go back and track, like, all right, what teams had Michael Vick so then get the appropriate fantasy points. Well, one of those teams was actually our guy here on the show right now, Cody. And once we added that and recalculated it, Cody is actually officially in the LCC Hall of Fame. So congrats, my man. You are in.
Wrap it up.
Woo!
Well,
Wow. Nice
I
job,
felt
Cody.
like a Hall of Famer, you know.
So hold on. So looking back, you kind of did him dirty by telling him that he has the longest losing streak, and then be like, "Oh, now you're in the Hall of Fame as well."
It's not the longest losing streak, okay? It's top 10.
Yeah, top 10.
Top 10.
No, but congrats, man. I mean, you were so close. And actually, another guy who ended up getting credit too, but is literally 1 point away, is Matthew Legg, owner of Jiu-Jitsu Jesus, who hosted our draft party. He is 1 point away, which is the equivalent of 2 divisional wins, and he's in. I mean, that's it. He'll have his 200. So that's cool stuff. I mean, we've had some guys in the league. I mean, obviously, Cody, you're one of them, won back-to-back. Only 3 people have ever done it. Funny enough, the past 6 Little Critter Bowls were all back-to-back champions. So, you definitely deserve it, for sure.
So do we force him to give an acceptance speech? Or
Yeah, speech!
I would like to thank my fans, my players. You know, without them, this wouldn't be possible. And everybody else, especially Cameron Nugent, and suck my balls.
There you go. There you go. It's especially big thanks to Michael Vick for getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I honestly, all my fantasies run together, and we've been doing this for so long now. Like, I don't even remember it.
For real.
I
I didn't even know you
Mike,
had
he doesn't
him,
remember
actually.
you.
But yeah, that's our news and notes, guys. Congrats, Cody, again. I'll be sure to update your team logo too, so you get a little Hall of Fame icon on there, like Cameron's got.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go update it in the Discord right this minute.
All right.
Or do you want me to wait? Do you want?
It's up to you. If you want people to hear the show first to find out the news, or if you want to,
I'll do it, and people are gonna be like question mark. You know,
they probably won't trust you at first. But
they'll find out soon enough.
No, they will. They will. So let's get it moving to our week 1 review from last season, just to get everyone caught up to speed. In case someone forgot about what happened last week, we had a couple big games. In fact, the entire Conference B division our conference almost entirely lost, besides 3 teams. I'll start with myself. I beat New Orleans Voodoo 256 to 211. Cody lost to the third leg, 160 to 204. The Spurs defeated Primetime Players in a rematch of Little Critter Bowl from the past 2 years, 193 to 185. And then you had Step Bros Fantasy Company, rookie GM Matt, won 209 to 196 versus Mafali. Jameson here lost one, even though a late comeback, sort of, lost to Detroit Bad Boys 222 to 187. We had Burr's Body Count defeat, bringing Rexy back. 176 to 151. We had Mr. 300 defeat a Janitor 220 to 206 in a high scoring game. Then we had Hunter of Champions defeat Eastside Brawlers 167 to 147. We also had Haslinging Slashers defeat Afternoon Delights 209 to 181. And then Slapdicks lost to Jiu-Jitsu Jesus 198 to 171. And then Abusement Park put a beat down on rookie GM Eddie, who's running over the pants hand job, 212 to 136. And then our last one, Beg for G-Reg defeated Libertari Lobos 234 to 218, another high scoring game. So I mean there were some surprising upsets in there. There were some that I feel like we all kind of saw happening, but it was an interesting week to say the least, and it's definitely set up some interesting matchups here for week 2, because like I said, almost an entire conference lost last week, and now this week is nothing but divisional matchups. So there are teams, some of us here in this podcast right now, who could start out 0-2 which would be a bleak way to start the season. Of course, teams have made it to the playoffs after starting 0-2, but it is much harder to do without having a loss going into week 3. But good news is the regular season is a week longer, so you have that extra week to recover, I guess, sort of, in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to beat a dead horse there. Like I said, pretty much everyone listening already knew those scores, so I don't think there's a lot else to mention there. So we'll just get it rolling to our LCC game of the week. And Jordan, you said you were going to sing a song to get us started.
Yeah, which song would you like? No.
James said, I don't know if you know, but I've since we don't do sound drops anymore, I get Jordan to sing his little tunes here and there, and sometimes it works, and sometimes he's not up for it.
I would like to know my song before the show. Like, am I doing pop, lock, and drop it or not? Like,
All right. Let's get going to game of the week here. Announced it on Twitter, and we had actually announced it during the schedule release a couple months back. But week 2 is between Detroit Bad Boys and Abusement Park, both coming in with a victory. Both teams looking very strong after that first week. So I'm sure both teams feel somewhat confident. I actually can't remember if either of them picked themselves, and they talked about their matchups on the other show on LCC After Dark. But just some fun facts before I let you guys rip into this. Abusement Park leads the overall regular series 4-3. Peyton has the 18th most wins in league history. Billy, on the other hand, has 14th most wins in league history. Detroit Bad Boys finished the 2020 regular season 8-4, winning the Conference A Western Division. Abusement Park finished the 2020 regular season 8-4, finishing third in the Conference A Western Division, but still made the playoffs. Detroit Bad Boys also has won one straight in the regular season series, but Abusement Park has outscored Detroit Bad Boys 1,902 to 1,742 in the regular season. So, with that said, I mean, let's dive into Abusement Park's team, Peyton's team here. What do you guys like about it going into week 2?
He's awesome.
He
Obviously,
said offense.
Yeah. I mean, that's his strong suit. His defense is, definitely a little sketchy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know Marlon Humphrey plays in the box a lot as a corner. I feel like that's pretty much always going to be a slight knock against him until I see consistent value this season there. I know Marlon Humphrey was solid last year, but like I said, I'm always still hesitant on a corner. But his offense, oh man, I actually think CeeDee Lamb is the number 1 receiver in Dallas. Some people might want to say it's Amari Cooper, but I really think it's CeeDee Lamb going forward. Should be the lead receiver.
I think CD will be the more like consistent receiver. At the end of the day, if Cooper has a couple hundred more yards, it's only because he just went off like 5 games out of the whole season.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the one advantage for CD is that Amari is usually always going to see the number 1 corner from another team. So that's automatically an advantage for CD that he's seeing. That's like when Juju was at his best playing with Antonio Brown, like not comparing the two. I think CD's like a far better talent, but I think it helps a lot that he's not going to see a team's number 1 corner because they're always going to be on Amari.
And CD's hitting a lot of slot as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough to put your number 1 guy in the slot like all the time anyway. So
it also doesn't hurt that Dallas's defense is atrocious.
Yeah.
So there's lots of volume for those receivers.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all those statements. Plus, Kyler Murray, I think, could have another good game. Aaron Jones, I'm interested to see what his role develops as, especially if Aaron Rodgers plays like Aaron Rodgers did in Week 1 and Green Bay performs that way. It could definitely change the way Aaron Jones is used in that offense. But I agree with you guys. I really like Peyton's offense this week, and just in general. But once we compare Billy's team, we may have some more to say about that. So let's go ahead and move it on to
I
Detroit
think
Bad
the
Boys.
Packers are gonna have to.
What'd
Well,
you
I
say?
think the Packers are actually gonna have to run the ball like a little more to like win. So I could see Aaron Jones's volume start to go up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. This is also a great, get right game. A lot of teams need that. They need a get right game. They need a team that's not that great to kind of figure some stuff out against. And, what a better team than the Detroit Lions, who they've been beaten up on for years.
Yeah, and they haven't really practiced. I mean, I just put that they're kind of out of sync, and they were playing a decent team,
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear now what you guys
especially a
think
good
about.
defense. It was a veteran defense.
Yeah, yeah, it is. What are your guys' thoughts on Detroit Bad
About
Boys
Billy's
team,
team?
Billy's team?
I absolutely love it.
It's definitely a lot more balanced. I mean, Darius Leonard, Cameron Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick. That's a pretty stout defense. And then of course Russell and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's really really balanced and it's got some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got the heavy advantage on defense, especially when you count Darius. And I think that's where he'll overall take the edge in this. Not to give away a pick early or anything, but I think the defense will lead the way with the offense almost being a dead heat with what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Billy won offensively. Like that's what makes this so that me personally. That's why I really like Billy in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was all spot on. Like the offenses are so evenly matched, but Billy's defense has just the more, the bigger names, and you just feel safer going into the matchup with those guys.
Agreed.
Yeah, Detroit Bad Boys. James said it kind of perfectly. Like this is a very balanced team between offense and defense. And I guess we can kind of dive into who we're picking here. For me, though, I got to go Detroit Bad Boys just because I think this offense, at worst case scenario, is just as good as Abusement Park, and the defense is head over heels better. I'm actually going Detroit Bad Boys here, and I might even be willing to say they win by 20 plus, which in our league is a solid margin. I mean, you're definitely safe from a score change at that point, or a stat change. Sorry, same thing, I guess. But yeah, I'm going Detroit Bad Boys here. I really love this team as a whole.
Yeah, who's gonna go next? I guess I will. I'll go Bad Boys as well. And like I said before, I really think it's gonna be splitting hairs on the offensive side. I can easily see Kyler leading the way on the other side and winning, but I think the defense on Billy's team will step up and be the advantage he needs this week.
Cody?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, me personally, I like Billy. I mean, and I like Billy by a lot. Like, I could see this easily being 40-point difference. I think Billy cruises.
Yep, Billy edges them out.
This is why I wanted to go last because I just wanted to say this. So you're all on the Detroit Bad Boys. I'm going to now take Abusement Park because I liked it anyways. It was a close matchup to me, but shout out to Boomer. He's always my favorite, and I love when he does that. So going with Abusement Park here, Peyton. So I think he's got a great team, and it's going to be close anyway. So I'm just going to give him the edge here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I mean, both teams are good. I mean, this game was picked game of the week even before both teams had a full roster. So, I mean, I think that says a lot about how we feel about both teams. I think we can all say we definitely like them both. I think just this week in particular, and maybe even overall, we just really like Detroit Bad Boys this season, and especially here in week 2. I think Christian going against the Saints is going to have to be heavily involved, and I think he's going to have just as much production, maybe even more somehow than last week, which is crazy to even imagine. Yeah, so let's go ahead and hop into our other matchups. And Jameson, I know, with Carolina and all and the baby, if you got to get off at any point, feel free. It won't mess anything up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I do have to cut it a little bit short.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, kind of impromptu. I can plan a little bit better next time. A little impromptu visit though. It was fun. It's kind of ignites that fire again that I had last year doing this. So hopefully I can get back on soon. And I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for our game of the week and all of our
Yeah.
other shenanigans.
It was good having you while we had you.
Thank you, Jameson.
Yeah, thank you, Jameson.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
All right,
Yep.
see ya.
All right. All right, bye.
All right, so we'll go into our other matchups here, and everyone should be seeing the standings and the overall schedule for week 2 now. Like I said, we already did game of the week, so we'll move past that and go to our next matchup here, which is going to be Beg for G-Rag versus Burrow's Body Count. And another, this is also a Conference A Western Division matchup, so this is another big one. Burrow's Body Count is the only team to lose last week, which will make things interesting because this is a must-win. It's a divisional matchup, plus it's a good team. So he really needs to kick in a gear here in week 2 and get this win. But I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I think Burrows actually does win. I personally like his roster makeup, like overall, and I think he checks a little more boxes than Beg for G-Reg.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like the one big thing is I think it's cool how both their running backs are going against each other because that's where on paper the huge gap is in like position wise. Like they're pretty close everywhere else. I'd give Burrow's Body Count the edge on defense probably, but I'd like with the DB and his D line, not at linebacker, but the other two, and then. But just if the Cardinals can play good D and hold Dalvin Cook in check like they did Derrick Henry last week, then I think Burrow's Body Count is going to get the win regardless of what James Conner does. I know he's going to be hit or miss, but if they can just keep Dalvin Cook in check, and they did it with Derrick Henry last week.
Also, I thought that what's his name in Oakland, not Oakland, in Las Vegas, like Kenyon might be starting this week.
Ooh, that is
Yeah, so if he starts
true.
him,
Yeah.
Jacobs is questionable and hasn't practiced all week, so
yeah. This is why they got Kenyon Drake. They were worried about Jacobs' health. So,
God, I'm so glad I got rid of him. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jordan, do you have any thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think it's a really close matchup. Just seeing that gap at the running back position makes me want to go with Beg for G-Reg. I know you mentioned them bottling up Derrick Henry last week. Delvin is just a little more of a threat in the pass game, I feel like, so he might just be able to do it in that way. So I would lean Beg for G-Reg, and I like his defensive backs. I don't really like corners, but Kenny Moore is one of the ones in the league I make an exception for. I think I mentioned him last week just because I owned him down the stretch last year. He always seems to make splashes happen, especially against teams that like to throw the ball around. So I would lean Beg for G-Reg in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right,
I mean,
nice.
I was kind of torn just because I think the running back advantage clearly goes to Beg for G-Reg, but I just like Burrow's Body Count's team overall more, and so it's like, can those other players like more make up for the lack of points he might get at running back? But like Cody said, like we could potentially see James Conner playing more. Plus, it looks like Beg for G-Reg still needs to add one more guy to his lineup. So, just add Jordan Hicks, for instance.
the D line.
He's gonna add a D end. Yeah, he's gonna add a
D line.
D-line.
Go ahead, Michael, probably.
Yeah, I guess that won't make much of a difference, really. But I'm actually going to go Burrow's Body Count in this. Sorry. For my matchup. I don't know if to call it an upset or not. There's no history between either team either in terms of in our league, but Zach and BP do know each other from Lander. They went to school together, so they have a little bit of a personal history, but no LCC history yet. This will kick things off, make it really interesting. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to our next matchup. Did everyone pick? Yeah, everyone picked their winners for that game. So we'll move on to Jiu-Jitsu Jesus versus Primetime Players. We're going to Conference A Eastern Division here. And this is, both of these guys definitely know each other between Cody and Daquan. They've seen each other a lot. in person, of course, but they also have seen each other a lot in fantasy, at least, too. This is going to be their 13th time playing each other. Daquan owns the series 8-4. The last time they played was in the playoffs last year in the wild card round. Daquan won 208 to 175. But the last time Matt won, Week 5, 2017. It has been a minute when he won 223 to 208. So this is a big matchup. Daquan's got a loss already. Matt's got a win already. So best case scenario, they're tied for Daquan's case. But for Matt, he could get a 2-game lead over Daquan here in the primetime players with a win. So I'm interested to hear y'all's take on this.
I think it's splitting hairs, honestly.
Yeah, it kind of is. This is going to be a good matchup.
I just went Matt for more of a consistency in every position, and like I like Tannehill over Big Ben this week, like just little things like that. I'm honestly split on running back. Like I'd take either one of those. Maybe Chris Carson a little bit more right now, but like I can't even guard Clyde just because he's with the best player in football.
Yeah, I like Daquan's team here in this one, honestly. I think, Diggs does have a pretty tough matchup, but I think he'll get the better of it. I think he'll have a pretty good game. I could see Sweat being all over, Daniel Jones. Roquan is Roquan. I think he has a good, since he was actually pretty run heavy last game. So if that's the case again, that just, that's always good for your linebackers when the team's going run heavy. And Big Ben, I think, Big Ben, good bounce back game for him against Las Vegas. Not a big fan of their defense. I think he'll spread the ball around and, get a few touchdowns. He can have a big game after a quiet, even though they won last week, he still had a fairly quiet game, especially in terms of fantasy. And Clyde, I think he'll end up finding his way into the end zone. So I'm going to give this one to Daquan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with primetime players as well. I think Clyde will have a better week, like you said. Diggs, Roquan. The only thing that I think is going to hurt Matt, I know he has some good weeks, but I think he would need a turnover type of play from Teron Johnson, and I'll say he doesn't get this week, and Daquan takes it.
Not so fast, my friend. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm going Matt here, actually. I guess you call it upset if everyone wants to pick Daquan. I really
I
like.
picked Matt.
Oh, you picked Matt too? Okay, well, I guess we're split.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought I was being special, but I just don't like big pieces. I do not like Deion Jones' matchup against Tampa Bay. I don't know if Deion's even going to be guarding Gronk, which is where he'd probably get most of his tackles because they're obviously not caring to run the ball that much this year. But Roquan is going to be very busy against Cincinnati. He's going to have his hands full. He's going to be getting a lot of tackles. I think that Xavier McKinney will as well Thursday night. He'll be busy with Kari Willis on Sunday versus the Rams. I really think that, oh, sorry. No, I guess I am going Daquan here. I got the rosters mixed up.
I was like, just having
No.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I was like, all right, never mind. I'm going Daquan here. Not so fast to myself. Primetime players. That is who I'm picking in this matchup.
He was so ready for that, not that fast.
I
Like,
know.
Daquan's going to be listening. This sounds a lot like my team.
This sounds a lot like my team. Oh, man. All right, so let's get it to our next matchup here. We have got the third leg versus Mr. 300. That's Charles versus Colby. This is still Conference A Eastern Division. They've played each other. This will be the eighth time. And Mr. 300 leads the series 6-1. In fact, the third leg's last win, Week 7, 2018, when he won 289 to 236. It has been a while. Even if we're not comparing head-to-head play, Mr. 300 dominates. I mean, this is a guy who's borderline in the Hall of Fame. The third leg is so far from it at the moment. He's going to have to get a lot of success here soon if he wants to make any kind of dent on his Hall of Fame score as a GM. So it's interesting from that regard is that from a historical standpoint, these teams couldn't be any more different. But I think this year things are going to be a little bit more intriguing, especially this week. So far, I think most of the matchups we talked about, besides maybe our game of the week, I think are going to be really close. But between the third leg and Mr. 300, do you guys have any thoughts on this matchup?
I like Charles in this matchup in the third leg. I think Zeke will get it going against the Chargers, which will cut in to a little bit of Dak Prescott for Colby. And overall, Nuke Hopkins. I like Eric Kendricks. Bosa with the pat. Bosa will have a little tougher getting to a more elusive quarterback, but overall, I like Charles's team, and Baker Mayfield was dropping dimes last week, so if that continues, I'll take him in this matchup.
Yeah, me too. Like I like Charles as well. I like Zeke to get a pretty decent workload, whether it turns into something big. It's not like outside of Bosa. It's not like the Chargers D line is something to be feared, and they're really young at linebacker as well. I love Kendricks. I think Parsons is just going to keep getting better through the year. Edmonds is, one of the typical safeties, plays in the box, going to get a lot of look at tackles. I'm not crazy about Nick Bosa going against the Eagles. Not so much Hurts being elusive, because I think that may help a tad because he'll want to break pocket a little bit more. But I think the Eagles' offensive line is probably one of the top 5 in the league, especially when they're all healthy and clicking. But I mean, personally, I think what holds Colby back is running back, and
Yeah.
I think, I mean, that's my worry with him.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
I
they both
agree.
have a weakness on offense to me. I mean, Colby's his running back and Charles is Charles' quarterback.
I mean,
I mean, I know Baker Mayfield did look good last week, but when the way I think about it is they just played the best offensive football. That might be the most that he slings it around. In this matchup against Houston, they could just pound Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and easily get a win. I mean, I know Houston beat the Jags last week, but that's not really anything to write home about.
You're right.
But I could definitely see Cleveland just getting up early in this game, pounding Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and Baker doesn't even have to throw the ball. And nothing. It's not even a knock against Baker's talent. It's just the team doesn't even really need him to win that in a game like this. They could just absolutely just run the rock with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt all day long, and I think they'll eat Houston up.
Yeah,
So I have to lean just because of that. Just because of that matchup this week, I'm going to lean with Mr. 300.
All
Okay.
right.
I hear that. I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've got to go the third leg here. And I think it's like Cody said, the running back scenario. I just think that if it favors Charles, I think Zeke gets it together this week against the Chargers. They have a pretty young defense, in my opinion, in the interior at least. And I think Zeke should have a good game. Jordan, did you already make your pick?
Yeah, I did. I believe I went first.
Okay.
He took Charles.
All right, so let's get it going to our next matchup. We've got New Orleans Voodoo coming off a loss to myself versus Hunter of Champions, who got a win last week. I think that a lot of people really, really trashed John's team heading into week 1. I felt like, and he made some questionable moves along the way, but for the most part, a lot of things have kind of panned out well for him. I mean, Corey Davis significantly outperformed Mike Evans last week. Josh Jacobs had an okay game. Zach Wilson was solid. This is a solid team still. I feel like Hunter's team, though, kind of underperformed in some regards, I felt like. But his running back situation should be better this week with David Montgomery in his lineup. They haven't played each other before, so there's no history between both teams. Hunter's coming off literally his worst season ever. And New Orleans Voodoo is his rookie season, so nothing to go off there. But guys, this is kind of a star-studded matchup in a lot of ways between guys like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Pat Mahomes, Devin Bush, George Kittle. I mean, you name it. There's a ton of big name guys in this game. Who are you guys taking?
For me, man, I'm gonna take Hunter, and I'm gonna take Hunter by a big margin, but not the fact that I think Voodoo has a terrible team. He does have some decent players. I don't, like we said earlier, I don't know if Josh Jacobs plays, and if he doesn't, that hurts Voodoo even more. I just view Hunter's team as probably one of the three better teams in the whole entire league, and I just think he's he's pretty good. Like his whole team's pretty good, so I think he takes this pretty handily.
I would go Hunter in this as well. And the biggest thing is I love all his players' matchups, like more than anything. I feel like it doesn't matter who Mahomes plays, but the Bengals for Montgomery, the Lions for Adams, a rookie quarterback for Von Miller to go after. Steelers, I mean, they're going to use Najee and stuff. I mean, I just like everybody's matchup. But so I would go Hunter.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to go against Hunter in this one. I don't like the fact that Josh Jacobs is out, and this week Zach Wilson's going to be seeing ghosts like his old buddy Sam Darnold. So don't like his matchup on the road against New England, and still just hate the fact that he doesn't start the stack. So till he starts the stack, I can't give him a win. So going Hunter.
Yeah, I'm going.
Quit or Hill if you're not. You got to start the stack, man.
You got to start the stack. That's true. I am kind of with you guys. Hunter just has some really good matchups this week. I think Devontae Adams should ball out. I'm not crazy either when I see someone flex a receiver in this league, like John's doing. I mean, he's a rookie, so granted he's going to learn as time goes on. But I'd be more willing to put Anthony Walker in, or Jordan Fuller for that matter. I'm just not crazy about the two receiver set in this league. Maybe when we adjust our scoring to favor receivers more, it makes sense. But this time, I probably wouldn't do it. And I've really got to go Hunter in this matchup. Even though like I was saying, I think John's got a very solid team. It's just this week I don't see it getting done.
Yeah, I agree about the two wide receiver thing, but I want to throw in that we did say that last week about Matt's team, and then Deebo Samuel and Jordan and Kelsey each went off for over 40. So
that's true.
I guess that worked out for him.
Yeah. And then we got our last matchup here in Conference A. We've got Mufasa Moneymakers versus Hastling Slashers. Steven, I know you were super down on your team, it seemed like, at going into week one. Maybe you were trying to jinx yourself in the right way. But, you and Armando have played each other a little bit over the past 2 years. And right now the series is leading towards you, 4-1. It's a very young rivalry series, though. So, a win here, and then bam, he's only two games behind you with another one to go. So it could be just one by the end of the year. But the only time, that the Hashling Slashers has won this was week 8 of last year when he won 210 to 126 in a beatdown. But then you beat him in week 10, 135 and 127 in a very low scoring game. So, I mean, I guess, Steven, we can start with you if you want, since this is your team. What are your thoughts into this matchup?
Yeah, well, it was funny that you mentioned my win against Mon at the end of last season, because if it wasn't for that, I probably would have broken the record for longest losing streak by now, because that was only my second win last year. So shout out to Mondo for that, I guess. And then, I do like my matchup this week. Last week I was down on it just because Matt has honestly had my number in fantasy now for the last 4 matchups we've had. He keeps edging me out, when it's been close each time. Like this week was close again. So, but I've honestly, and now it's just the opposite. I've edged out Mondo the last few times. So I'm actually hoping that I get him this week, and jinx or not, I'm going to pick myself. So there we go.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and be the first one to say you're gonna lose again.
That's fine.
And this is mostly salty reasons. Mondo beat one. Got a lackluster performance from Matt Ryan. So I'm going to say Mondo's just a great team, and he's going to start 2-0.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mondo as well. Only because I just feel like he's got more of a. I really don't like Trevor's matchup against Denver. Um, and we just saw Baker rip up KC, so I really like Lamar. And then I just think his offense is a little bit better, and then his defense kind of is around what yours is. So I'm gonna go Mondo.
Okay. I think I'm gonna shock some people when I say this. I'm actually gonna go Mafali in this, and
Boo.
I know, I know that might be
Oh,
surprising.
wait till yours come up, Jordan. Just wait till your game comes up, bud.
I was just hoping it would be 3-1. Just
And this might be a very nitpicky thing to say, but for Hunter, listen to me. Sorry, Armando. He's got Cameron Curl in his starting lineup right now, and I actually this is like an article I just read today that he's actually possibly not even a starter anymore for Washington. So if that is true, I think Cameron Curl is almost unrosterable because the only reason he was relevant last year was because of injuries to that secondary. So if that's the case, he's going to have to put another flex player, and I'm looking at the possible flex players for him, and I'm not crazy about any of them, honestly. And for that reason, Matt Milano, yeah, I mean, Matt Milano could be all right. I mean, he got 17, though, against Pittsburgh, which is, I feel like, more of a run-centered franchise, so...
But we just didn't really get anything going offensively till late in the second half, like Pittsburgh. It was a lot of 3-and-outs.
Yeah, maybe it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Mufasa Moneymakers with the upset here.
Okay.
All right, let's go to our first Conference B matchup. We're gonna start in the Western Division here with Libertad Lobos versus Give Me More. This is the top two teams in that division, but they're both 0-1. If the season ended today, actually, I already did the math. Both of these teams would make the playoffs as the 3 and 6 seed, but with no wins. And this is week 1, so I just kind of say that jokingly, of course. But who are you guys taking in this?
I'm taking Levitard Lobos. I like his whole squad.
Nice.
I'm just making it quick.
Making it quick.
Yeah. Same. Honestly, love all his matchups this week. I think Julio bounces back, and big game for Antonio Gibson coming up.
yeah, I'm leaning the Lobos as well, man, and that makes me start to think like after that rolling of a hot start from Jameson, how many can you lose in a row? So you better start throwing some salt around the house or something, whatever you got to do to change the mojo. But I'm gonna go the Lobos this week.
I'm actually going to go Give Me More this week. He was very active on free agency this afternoon or this evening. And I think I'm going to go Give Me More just because Cole Holcomb, from the research I've done, is actually legitimately a franchise linebacker for the Washington football team at the moment. And Jamin Davis, I know there was so much hype with him. He's not in the starting lineup, by the way. But Jamin Davis is really getting a minority of the snap count in the linebacker core, and Cole Holcomb was the lead guy. And going against Saquon Barkley, I think Holcomb could have a solid game. I also think Myles Garrett against Houston, I really love that matchup. And of course, Josh Allen's Josh Allen. So, I mean, if anything, he negates whatever Matt Stafford puts up this week. If anything, he might even surpass him. So I'm going to go Give Me More in this.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I can't remember who it was for, but I drafted Cole Holcomb for one of the owners that wasn't at the draft,
Was it Michael?
and maybe, but obviously he got cut by someone. So congratulations for Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And trade Patrick Queen if you're just gonna let him ride the pine, bro. Like
Yeah, hey, send them over.
I got RBs.
I know. I've got some defensive backs if you want one.
Jordan, those RBs are for me.
Just real quick, I forgot to mention, Jameson leads the series 2-0. He swept Alex last season in his rookie year, so he's looking to get his first win against him. So let's go ahead and move into our next matchup here. We've got Over the Pants Hand Job versus bringing Rexy back. This is two rookie GMs looking to get their first win, sink their teeth in to the cheeseburger, if you will. I don't know why I came up with that analogy, but I did. They haven't played each other before. Both teams inherited garbage franchises and have done everything they can to make them competitive for this season. So I've got to tip my hat to that in that respect. But guys, I don't know if I really like either team this week in some ways.
Yeah, they both need to add a player to their starting
I
lineup
know.
with specifically a quarterback for bringing. So once you add golf in there, the projection's a lot closer. But man, just looking at it, I think, oh man, I don't even know who is he missing on the other side. A running back?
Yeah, and he's
I
got
mean,
Carlos Hyde and Elijah
He's gonna
Mitchell.
start a lot from Mitchell. No freaking way he doesn't.
yeah, yeah, man, I might lean bringing Rexy back to get his first win, and especially just assuming Jared Goff will be down in a game again and have to throw it 50 times. But so I like that pickup for him, even though he lost Fitzpatrick. So I'll go bringing Rexy back.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Cody.
yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing pretty much. I don't know. I actually don't mind bringing Rexy's back's team like overall. Like personally, I mean, obviously he doesn't have like a top tier quarterback, but once you get past that, like James Johnson's got some potential, even though they looked a little like lackluster in the first game with Jacksonville. But Darren Waller, like I'll take him all day versus Tyler Boyd. Like I love Shaq Barrett. He's definitely, especially on that defensive line, he's got so much help. Like he doesn't see a ton of like double teams, especially once Vita Vea starts going. Like people are gonna have to double team that guy. He's putting people in people's lap.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I think Nick, if I could say his whole name, Kwiatkowski or whatever, Waskowski, like he's in the starting lineup. Like he's getting reps. Like he's out there. Like I think those tackles will come. His numbers will come. I know Jordan was a fan of him last year. I think he had trouble staying healthy, but I think he's got a little bit more upside outside of like I love Zach Cunningham for Over the Pants Handy, but I feel like they've added some linebackers to that linebacking core, and it's not going to be as easy as it was last year for him to just rack up all the tackles.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see
So I'm
that.
going bringing Rexy back.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see both these teams mix up their lineups. I mean, obviously, I know they both have to add somebody, but I think, Over the Pants Hand Job probably end up starting a guy like Marvin Jones. Either way, it's not like that's a huge difference. And then, for bringing Rexy back, maybe he starts Okiriki from Indy over Quitout, like how you ever pronounce either one of their names. Bobby had the better week last week, and he plays the Rams, so they could be running the ball a good bit. He might, we'll see what either one of them does. I think both of them are going to shake up their lineups though, but I'm going to give the edge to. Wow, this is a tough one, but I'm going to have to slightly lean over the Pants Hand Job here because I think Cunningham has a great matchup in a game that I said earlier. I think Cleveland will run a lot. And then just for bringing Rexy back, I actually think Pittsburgh's going to key in on Darren Waller. I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously they force feed the guy. They gave him 19 targets last night or, Monday night. But, they're going to have to key on him. I think they have the tools to do it. So I think he's going to have a tough game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm going bringing Rexy back for this one. I think Shaq Barrett is going to eat in Atlanta. I mean, Matt Ryan may not be able to walk by the end of that game. I just feel like his defense is better overall, and honestly, the quarterback play probably kind of crosses each other out. But I'm going bring Rexy back in that matchup. I think I like him a little bit more. But we'll roll on to our next one here. We got Afternoon Delights versus Eastside Brawlers. Jordan, I'm sure you don't want to talk too much about yourself. But this would be a good matchup. This is a rivalry game within the division itself. And, loser here goes to 0-2. This is going to be – this is the case for most of these matchups in Conference B. But this is really going to hurt if one of you loses, just because someone in our division is going to be 2-0 regardless, between myself and Matt McCarson.
I'll start this off. I'm gonna go Jordan. I just think he's got a good outside of receiver. I think he probably wins just about every receive. I mean, both your quarterbacks are turds, but outside of that, I like Jordan in every other aspect.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Jordan, I agree. Same thing. Great squad, but just I'm not a big fan of the owner in general. So I think it's a good decision here. The guy's got Jonathan Taylor riding his bench. He tried to call out Jameson for letting Pat Queen ride the bench. I guess he's trying to signal Taylor for Queen swap maybe. So Jameson, if you're listening,
Wink, wink.
yeah, wink, wink there. So, but as tough as it is to pick a guy like Jordan to win, I'm gonna have to do it. I did call out bias earlier in the group, so I'm not gonna be biased here and pick against Jordan because I don't like him. I'm gonna have to pick him. So, good job, Jordan.
Good job, Jordan. Thank you.
I'm just going to pick myself because I picked against myself last week and I lost. So hopefully I'm going to pick for myself this week and I'll win. So.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with you, Jordan, as well. I think this game ends up being a lot closer than some of us may want to think. I think Sam Darnold, even if New Orleans defense plays great, I think Sam is naturally going to have a lot of points for Carolina to stay in that game, the way New Orleans offense played last year. So I think Sam could end up having, a 40-point game if he plays his cards right, unlike last week against the Jets. And in fact, I think the Jets defense actually might be better than New Orleans defense. So, but I'm still going to go with you, Jordan, in that game.
New Orleans defense just stymied Green Bay. Are you just trying? What are you saying?
I know they did, but I'm saying that if you watch the way Carolina won the game because of Christian McCaffrey, right? I mean, when they win, it's because of Christian McCaffrey always at this point and where our franchise is. But I don't think Green Bay is anywhere as good as people make them out to be. I really don't. I think they're a little overrated this year.
All right. Well, we'll revisit this take at some point
Next
later.
week.
Yeah. Well, I
next
mean,
week.
I definitely think Green Bay is good. They got too many good players not to be good.
I think it's a chemistry thing, is what it is, more than anything. I think it's a locker room issue in Green Bay. I don't even think it's a talent issue or a coaching issue. I really think it's a team chemistry issue at the moment. Those types of things get toxic quick.
I think we got a big overreaction week one is what we have.
We might.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with Cody, but at the same time, the one difference I think there is that Darnold's going to be playing at home versus Rodgers, who was on the road. That's the Dome's always a tough road place to play.
Yeah.
And defenses are more neutralized on the road. So
Aaron Rodgers actually has never thrown for over 300 yards when playing in New Orleans.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Great
I made
stat,
that up.
Pat.
I made that up.
Oh, well, wow, Pat. Thanks. Wow. I'm going to play with my emotions.
Yeah, no, right. No, we'll go to our next matchup just to wrap this thing up as soon as we can. We've got myself, Roback Leprechauns going against Step Rose Fantasy Company, Matt McCarson's rookie GM, both 1-0. Winner goes to 2-0, has at least a one-game lead in the division. But, yeah, I mean, I think this should be a good matchup. But I kind of like my players' matchups a little bit more than Matt McCarson's. I think that I think it's still going to be relatively close, but I think I can get the win this week.
Look at Patrick being coy. Like, Patrick's going to win. End of story.
End of story.
Yeah, I mean, I think Patrick has the better roster when you look at him, but it's just to me, if Deebo Samuel could go off again against Philly, we'll see. They used to, they didn't do much, or Atlanta didn't do much against him, but they have been vulnerable in the past to giving up big plays, and that's what Deebo Samuel's all about. So
Patrick wins this by star power. Patrick's got too much star power for him.
Thanks, Cody.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. It's gonna be a close one. I technically didn't make a pick, but I am gonna have to lean Patrick as well. Just
I'll get
yeah,
my-
like you said, I think Kamara absolutely goes crazy. So
Knock on wood, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm going Patrick as well.
That's probably not a good sign. Everyone picks
Yeah.
me. It's a kiss of death.
you to lose, so I'm going you to win.
Well, as he approaches 100 wins, it's not good. Like, he's not winning every season. He just can't. Really, you should be worried about playoff predictions.
Yeah,
I think
know.
already Matt McCarson needs to think about keeping Shaq Thompson in that lineup after what he's doing on defense.
I
I'd
actually
take
messaged him about trading for Shaq. I don't think he ever got back to me.
Well, I don't think he's gonna.
yeah, Matt's a big homer. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
Lineup somehow as I think it's just because he wants to start Deebo too, and obviously he probably won't bench Jerome Baker.
Maybe I'll see what's up with getting Shaq. I got Devin Singletary to sell.
There you go. Have to hit up Matt.
I'll give him Tevin Coleman if he wants him. Oh man! All right, so we'll move to our next matchup. We got the Spurs versus Steel Curtain. This is arguably should be game of the week, just for the rivalry itself between both you guys. This will be the 13th time you guys have played each other since 2010. Cameron leads the series 10-2. I'm sure he's told everyone that at least a million times. Last time Cody won was week 1 of 2015. It's almost been exactly 6 years, just over 6 years.
he didn't play every year though, as
No.
well.
Well, you guys were in the same division for a long time, and then you guys took a long break between 2017 to 2020. So it was like a 2 to 3 year hiatus, which kind of fizzled the rivalry a little bit. There's definitely still rivalry of words between you guys, but at least in fantasy football, you guys didn't play for a couple years. But just for that, I mean, this is going to be a really fun matchup.
Yeah, versus 2 Hall of Famers. Look at that.
Look at that. Who
Well,
Yeah,
is
this
picking
is the
this?
first matchup between 2 Hall of Famers, right? Since Cody just made it.
I think so. This is the first time ever. I didn't even think of that.
Dang, it should have been the game of the week, Patrick.
It should have. If I would have calculated the Hall of Fame points back in February, right? It probably would have been game of the week.
I'm so mad at myself right now. Yeah, y'all can go first.
All right. Well, this is definitely going to be a close matchup here. I don't like Saquon Barkley right now until he proves that they're going to use him more. And I see Cody slid Jermaine Pratt in his lineup. He had a good week last week, but I was looking up snap numbers, and he only played about 43% of the snaps for the team, which worries me a little bit. I always want a guy that's on the field for like as many snaps as possible. But at the same time, the Spurs, neither his linebackers were impressive. I mean, I thought Joe Schobert might step up and be the guy for Pittsburgh, but it looks like it's still Devin Bush. And Jamie Collins, another guy who didn't play a lot of snaps last week. So, I mean, and again, against a run-heavy team against the 49ers, I doubt he sees much more snaps than he would have last week. So, kind of both teams have some questions there. But I'm going to have to go – wow, this is a tough one. But I'm going to go with Cody on this one. I think both of them might have some questions with their flex too. Maybe they'll change it up this week. Who knows? But I like Cody's team to edge it out. I think Aaron Rodgers goes off on Monday night, and Mike Evans rebounds from last week. So I think just overall, I think Cody slightly edges them out.
I'm going to say Cameron and the Spurs edge Cody out. I think, like you said, his quarterback, I think Tom Brady will just get all up in the Falcons.
Yeah, both quarterbacks are going to go off.
And I'll say Cameron takes this game by 4 points.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's really close. Basically a stat change then. Yeah, this is a tough one for me too. I feel like probably the biggest difference is going to be Derrick Henry versus Saquon. in that. I think Henry should do a lot better. But my issue with Brady this week is because how bad Atlanta was. If they do that badly again, I could see Brady getting pulled off the field pretty quick just to keep him fresh for the next week. I mean, that could actually hurt Cameron in a lot of ways if they go up big really quick. And if that does happen, that really hurts Cody and Cameron even more, because that means Chris Godwin won't play as much. That means Mike Evans won't either. And then I think, I'm going to go Cameron, even though I'm more thinking about Joe Schobert probably is not going to be a high performer this week against Las Vegas, especially with their running back being banged up. I'm not too crazy about that matchup. I'm still going to go Cameron, though, because of Derrick Henry.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat his ass. Yeah, he has no fucking shot. And excuse my language.
Well,
Like, I'm going to spank him.
First.
You heard it here.
Wow. I love it.
All right. Let's see what happens here. And I guess we got our last. We should have saved that one for last. That would have been a good way to end the show. But instead, we've got Once a Janitor versus Slapdicks.
Awful.
Actually, this game's gonna be pretty all right. Same. Well, no, I mean, if you go look at their defenses, I like Once a Janitor's defense. I think it's pretty solid. I think Slapdicks with Christian Kirksey, I think you should see similar performance last week. I think it's going to be at least a mid-30s game, maybe even more. And for me, I think I'm going to go with that said, I may end up going with Once a Janitor because I think DeAndre Swift should have a good game Monday night against Green Bay. And then on top of that, I think that Josie Jewell, for the same reason that Christian Kirksey did well last week against Jacksonville, I think Josie Jewell will have another good game. So I'm going to go Once a Janitor in this matchup. And I think they've played each other. Let's see. Sorry, I'm losing my voice over here. No, first time they've played each other, but they've been friends since elementary school. So this rivalry kind of goes way back, but has nothing to do with fantasy football.
Yeah, give me old Slapdicks. I'm taking him. For the win.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Slapdicks as well. Big bounce back game for Justin Herbert this week. I mean, I know they won last week as well, but not a huge fantasy game from him. But I think this week he puts up the big time points. So give me Slapdicks.
Yeah, even to run off of that with Herbert, I think he's going to be good. And I definitely think Once a Janitor needs to swap Eckler and Swift personally. I don't like Swift versus Green Bay. I like Eckler versus Dallas because he's about to be a PPR machine in that game. But with that being said, I still take Slapdicks overall. His team's just better.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's it. That's all we got, guys, for our week 2 episode. Next week, we've got week 3, which means we're even closer to some more big matchups, and I think this week will, like last week, the way it's set up this week, the same thing's going to happen week 3 and so on. So it'll be interesting to see how things unfold in week 2. But we hope to have another great episode for you next week. Hopefully one not so long. I'm just realizing this was over an hour. It's probably one of the longer episodes we've recorded in a very long time, but it's still had fun. Thanks, Cody, and Jordan Mafali for joining me for the show tonight, and Jameson too for listening. Thanks for being in earlier, and we will catch you guys next Wednesday. We'll see y'all later.
Peace.